Matthew 25, verse 1 through 13. Then shall the kingdom of heaven be likened unto 10 virgins, which took their lamps and went forth to meet their bridegroom. Okay, we see here Jesus is speaking of 10 virgins. A virgin represents purity. All 10 virgins are pure. They were all believers and were all waiting for the bridegroom, because they went to go meet the bridegroom, it says. Verse 2, and 5 of them were wise, and 5 were foolish. The main difference here is 5 were wise, and 5 were foolish. Verse 3, they that were foolish took their lamps, and took no oil with them. The reason the foolish were called foolish virgins is because they did not take oil with them in their vessels. But the wise took oil in their vessels with their lamps. See, they had vessels and a lamp. The vessel held the oil. We, Christians, are supposed to be vessels for God. Okay? We're supposed to carry the oil of God in us. Obviously here, the 5 foolish virgins did not take oil with them in their vessel. And we are also supposed to be lamps that shine. That shine. When we pour the oil within us, our lamps will continue to shine. Verse 4, but the wise took oil in their vessels with their lamps. Verse 5, while the bridegroom tarried, they all slumbered and slept. Here's another thing they all have in common. In verse 5, they all slumbered and fell asleep. The wise did not stay awake the whole time, nor did the foolish. They all slumbered and slept. Verse 6, and at midnight there was a cry made, behold, the bridegroom cometh, go ye out to meet him. Here we see that at midnight, which could represent the final cry, all 10 virgins heard a cry at midnight. In verse 7, then all those virgins arose and trimmed their lamps. Now we see all of them woke up at the same time. They all woke up at the same time. So not only were the foolish asleep and were in slumber, but the wise virgins who had oil in their lamps, who had oil in their vessels, woke up and they were slumbering too. So it was both the foolish and the wise virgins. So anyone who may be teaching that we can receive Jesus, right now, and then we can go out and do whatever we want to, we can sin as much as we want to and things like that, and think that it's going to be okay one day on the day of judgment, has another thing coming. So I would take heed to that doctrine and don't even pay it any attention, because that is disproved in these verses right here. Verse 8, and the foolish said unto the wise, give us of your oil, for our lamps are gone out. See, the foolish, their lamps went out because they did not take oil with them in their vessels. They did not take oil within them. So their brightness that they had at one time went out. See, they had a lamp and they were shining at one time too. But their lamp went out because they did not take oil with them. Verse 9, but the wise answered, saying, no, not so, lest there be not enough for us and you, but go ye rather to them that sell and buy for yourselves. This makes me think about the Great Tribulation. What are we going to have the option to do in the Great Tribulation? The only way you can buy or sell in the Great Tribulation is if you take the mark of the beast in your forehead or in your hand. Right? And the wise said, you all go buy and sell for your own selves. So, I see, right before Jesus comes back, I see right here that the foolish and the wise are in the Great Tribulation right here. Together. They both woke up at the same time. They were all slumbering, and something woke them up. There's going to be a final cry one day, and that final cry is going to wake all sleeping and slumbering virgins up. And 5 are going to be foolish, and 5 are going to be wise. Verse 10, and while they went to buy, the bridegroom came, and they that were ready went in with him to the marriage, and the door was shut. Verse 11, afterward came also the other virgins, saying, Lord, Lord, open to us. Verse 12, but he answered and said, verily, I say unto you, I know you not. So Jesus is going to say to the foolish, believing, pure virgins who were once pure and were walking in purity, but yet they did not take enough oil with them in their vessels. They did not take any oil in their vessels to keep their lamps burning. Jesus is going to say, I know you not. Why? Because their lamps went out. And we're not shining anymore. Verse 13, watch therefore, for ye know neither the day nor the hour wherein the Son of Man cometh. Here, Jesus is speaking about his second coming. The day and hour of Jesus' second coming, we do not know. However, Jesus does give us signs that we are to look for. And in Matthew 24:36, Jesus says, also, that day and hour of his coming we do not know, but the Father alone. And when we read Matthew 24:29 through 31, right before he says that day and hour that no man knows of his coming, of his second coming, Jesus says, after the tribulation of those days. Well, some may say, well, Jesus was talking to the Jews in certain parts of Matthew 24, but then when Jesus was talking about that day and hour that no one knows, he's talking to the church. No, it's not one way or the other, it's only one way. If Jesus was talking to the Jews in one part of Matthew 24, he's talking to the Jews on all of it. Okay? And he was talking to the Jewish disciples. So that day and hour that no man knows is the Lord's second coming. No one knows that day or hour after the tribulation of those days. According to Jesus. So we see here that 5 of us are going to be 5 foolish virgins, or 5 of us are going to be 5 wise virgins. You choose. Will you choose to live in a prayer life a praying life, and whatever you need to do to keep oil in your vessel, to keep your lamp burning, continuing that burning, it's your choice, and it's my choice. One more thing. Jesus said in some places, "They that endure to the end, the same shall be saved." Well, that word endure in Greek also can translate patient or suffer. In one place, it says, with the same Greek word, it says, if you suffer with him, you will also reign with him. Well, that word suffer is translated to the same Greek word as endure to the end, the same shall be saved. So, we see, and he says in that verse, as we continue, says, if we deny him, he will also deny us. Just like Jesus says. Jesus said, if anyone denies him, he shall also be ashamed of them. So, how are you living your life? However we are living our life can also mean, I believe, whether we are being ashamed of Jesus or not. Because if we're living a life of impurities and stuff and we're never sharing about Jesus, then aren't we somewhat ashamed of Jesus? We don't want to be ashamed of Jesus. I'm not ashamed of Jesus. As Paul stated in many places, I am not ashamed of Jesus. But we all must not be ashamed of Jesus. And we all need to be ready and keep oil in our lamps. Whatever is hindering our relationship with Jesus, we must allow Jesus to prune it out of us. If there's anything that is hindering us, if you have something in your eye, cut your eye out. Is what Jesus says. If your eye causes you to sin, cut out one of your eyes. Well, how about this? If the TV causes you to sin, causes us to sin, cut the TV off. Don't watch it anymore. Who is more important? Jesus or that TV? Etc. But anyways, God bless. Have a nice day.